is a star-driven sport. So it is not surprising in the least that Luka would be worshipped and really, really popular. He is just a raw, pure scorer, the likes we've rarely seen. But whereas Tim Duncan, Michael, and Magic combined for 16 titles, Duncan was sturdy, foundationally strong, took pay cuts at the end, whereas Magic elevated everybody around him. Whereas Michael Jordan was committed both ends, leadership, skills, again, 16 titles. What Luka is a gifted bucket getter who doesn't appear to be in great shape, is regularly disengaged defensively, and spends way too much time barking at officials. Doesn't it concern you a little that Jalen Brunson left Luka and became one of the best players in the league? Maybe Luka's not that easy to play with. And the threshold from being a bucket getter, Iverson, Melo, great players, all-timers, to being a championship player is different. A championship player is committed on both ends. Practice early, stays late, best shape on the team. That's different. Leading the right way. Again, Luka is so gifted and has been since he was 14 or 15 years old. Is he amenable to change? Is he willing to listen? Or does he want to be an all-time bucket getter? Michael Jordan at some point had to trust teammates. Kobe at some point had to trust Shaq, Pau Gasol. I mean, don't get me wrong, Luka's going to be an all-time great scorer. The standard changes, the threshold is greater from bucket getter to champion.
Back here on The Herd, let's go to Alex Curry with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Well, J-Mac, Lamar Jackson has had plenty of regular season success, winning 2 MVPs in his career, but he hasn't produced on that same level in the postseason. And Mark Schlereth called out Lamar for the lack of production in the playoffs and dismissed the idea that the Ravens haven't given him enough weapons.
When it comes to playoff football, Lamar Jackson is mediocre come playoff time. And bottom line is, you have been so good in the regular season. You have so many expectations. I do not want to hear from all of you out there that are telling me that Lamar Jackson, well, they don't get him weapons. How many first-round wide receivers do you need to draft? Well, they're not drafting the right one. Well, you're not developing them. Well, how do you develop them? Well, your quarterback has a long way to go in developing wide receivers. Don't tell me about the pain. Show me the baby. Produce in the playoffs.
It really does feel like it's the one thing holding Lamar Jackson back from greatness, right? Because we know how incredible of a player he is. He's a 2-time MVP. But just to back up Mark Schlereth's argument there of how great of a regular season player he is compared to a playoff, Lamar Jackson in the regular season, we have the stats on the board here, but 59-19 in the regular season and 2-4 in the playoffs. Completion percentage in the regular season is 64.5%, 57.4 in the playoffs. Touchdowns, interceptions, 125-45 in the regular season, 6-6 in the playoffs, and passer rating of 98 in the regular season and 75.7 in the postseason. And that's not going to win you games. And last year, it really felt like it was finally his time. I think the world was betting on Lamar Jackson to finally take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I know I did too. And then after that game, I was like, if Patrick Mahomes wins this, I can never bet against him in the postseason again. Because last year was the year. If anyone was going to try to dethrone Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, that was it. They had a down year. They didn't have what everyone thought was, quote, top-tier weapons. Mahomes' numbers were down a little, but he went on the road, beat Josh Allen, beat Lamar Jackson, and won a Super Bowl to now create the Chiefs dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mark's not wrong. Lamar hasn't produced in the postseason. I unearthed a good stat there during the commercial break. So You see Lamar, 2 MVPs. Awesome.
Yes.
6 playoff games? How were the passing touchdowns? Was it 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions?
Yeah, 6 and 6.
You know, Brock Purdy has 6 passing touchdowns in the playoffs too, right? Just thought I'd put that out there. I'm not saying Purdy's as good as Lamar. I'm not.
Oh,
I'm just
I was
saying
like, where are we going with
it's
this?
just a sample size.
You're pumping up Brock Purdy. Yeah, but Brock Purdy in his first 2 seasons has got to the NFC Championship game and got to the Super Bowl. I am, trust me, I am on the Brock Purdy bandwagon. Put some respect on that man's name.
I know
but Lamar Jackson, he's a great regular season player. We need to see the results in the postseason.
So,
there was a comparative stat. I think we showed it on the show at some point between Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott during the regular season.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Their numbers are almost identical. What's the biggest difference? Postseason wins, and that's what makes a great player iconic.
Yeah. Listen, is there a comparison Lamar Jackson to Joel Embiid? Joel Embiid, dominant regular season player, gets to the playoffs, can't get past the second round. He's got injuries. Lamar has had a couple injuries. Listen, Lamar's a great player, and I'll point this out just to be fair, to do the both sides thing. Go look up Peyton Manning's first, I think it was 4 or 5 playoff starts. He was terrible. Couldn't win a playoff game. Just could not do it in the playoffs early in his career.
4 or 5 starts or 4 or 5 seasons?
4 or 5 seasons, actually.
Okay.
In the playoffs, he just couldn't get wins, couldn't deliver. Then he breaks through. So Lamar eventually will break through. One would hope. But
you
so
would
far,
think so,
tough
because, you know, at the end of your career, probably 2 top things you talk about is Super Bowl wins and MVPs. So he has 2 of the MVPs, but the one thing he's missing to get to that next level is a Super Bowl. Or even postseason success.
I don't want to just play that it's only about the playoff wins, but, you know, we can't say, like Mark said, it's not about the offensive line. It's not about the weapons.
Yeah.
It's not about the running backs. They've cycled through coaches, offensive coaches, and it's like, at some point, you've got to look and say, Lamar, you've got to take us there. And so far, he hasn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's just so many defenders, you know? People are like, why are you blaming Lamar? Why do you hate Lamar? No, he hasn't played well.
He's an incredibly dynamic quarterback who deserves 2 MVPs. But to get to that next level, he needs postseason success. And that's not something that he's been able to obtain yet.
Even
2 and 4.
Yeah, the
2 and 4 in the
this
playoffs.
year, Alex. It's like, okay, they had the best record in the AFC. Give him his numbers were not off the charts amazing, but I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm bashing Lamar Jackson. He's a good player. I like him.
He's a great player.
He's won me a fantasy championship.
Getting
He's
to
good.
that next level is going to take playoff success. All right, let's move to the AFC West because the Chargers haven't won as much as they would have liked to since drafting Justin Herbert in 2020. They're hoping for that to change in a big way with Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. And center Bradley Bozeman thinks Herbert is already extremely comfortable in Harbaugh's new system. He said Justin looked like he's been in the system for 10 years and has been elevating people around him. So good news here. It's sounding like it's a smooth transition with Jim Harbaugh, which we know how talented Justin Herbert is. We've seen pockets of greatness, but we've talked a lot about his potential without fully seeing him reach the top of that potential. But the goal here, bringing in Harbaugh, is that he can unlock that potential for Herbert. He's a guy who is a winner. He creates a culture. It's obviously going to be a very different looking offense for the Chargers this season. You have to remember they got rid of Moore, Eckler, Kelly, Allen, Williams, Lindsey, Everett. It is a very different looking offense. They only went 5-12 last season. AFC West, you know, you got the dynasty, you got the best team in there in the Chiefs. So that's going to be a challenge, but my expectations for the Chargers this season is to have a winning season. But what would you consider a successful season?
Well, I actually had to just Google Bradley Bozeman because I know he wasn't the center last year. It was Corey Linsley who had the health issue. I'm like, Bradley Bozeman, who the hell? Oh, wait a minute. He's kind of a journeyman center. Not what you want when the offensive line's paramount.
There's a lot of new on this team.
I think as long as they can get above 500, 9-8, I think is a
winning
good season.
Yeah.
Now, I do think expectations are a little higher given Herbert doesn't have
and
a
Harbaugh.
Playoff win yet.
And Harbaugh.
Well, Harbaugh went to the Super Bowl. He's won a national championship.
But you're bringing in that coach.
Yeah, but you know
to
how it
get
is. Like,
wins.
first year you come in, all right, we're going to clean house, get my guys in there. That takes like a year. So
Okay.
I'll give them a little bit of a. Can we give them a year? Oh, that's fair, right?
You can. I mean, I think a successful season would be to have a winning season. Wild card game, something like that.